Now, I know you're reading this title and you're like, Tyler, what do you mean by that? I get it, Tori is a menace to society and is up there for biggest menaces in Cobra Kai in general. However, it is sort of lazy to say that Tori is just crazy and simply walk away from the conversation. Let's first go over when she's first introduced. After seeing the presentation at Valley Fest, she would go on to join the dojo to see if it's legit. This is where she would take on the champion Miguel with no hesitation. And despite losing pretty easily, Tori does show that she's got some fight in her and she's a natural Cobra. This is where she would go on to meet Aisha, which leads into her meeting Sam. And she would go on to be accused of stealing something she never even stole. And this is all because Tori said that she would be down to steal some liquor. This would lead into her pushing Sam after she was grabbed by Sam first, which basically sparks up conflict between the two. And not gonna lie, I think Tori here is definitely the one who should be considered innocent. Yes, Sam did have a reason, but it was a pretty dumb one. But not only that, she then proceeded to put her hands on Tori. Now let's talk about Tori and Miguel's relationship, which I find a little odd. You see, it's implied that Tori sort of just gets with Miguel mainly because he's not getting over Sam, which is just already set up for a relationship to fail in the first place, due to them genuinely not having a connection with one another, and rather the basis of it all is just Samantha LaRusso. Though I do think Tori being with Miguel this season enhances the conflict Miguel goes through this arc, which is whether or not to show mercy. And since this is Tori's introduction season, I can't really defend her setting up the whole incident that would go on to injure Miguel. Obviously, this wasn't her intention. She was just specifically only thinking about one person throughout the whole season, and that was Sam. And she quite literally was just trying to bully her during the roller rink date, and she also tried beating Sam in drinking and fails both times. Sam did get kicked out of the roller rink, but it was only because Tori was playing victim, and she did get tripped in the first place. And like how I said earlier, because Tori is enhancing Miguel's main conflict, obviously these two are not going to be staying together for really long. And like how I said beforehand, if Tori is enhancing Miguel's conflict and the biggest problem he's going through throughout the season, I don't think it's outlandish to say these two were just simply not meant to be together. Again, I don't think Tori is innocent, but saying that Sam was being pressed the whole time is kind of ridiculous, and she shouldn't just try to play victim. She and Miguel then kiss, and basically the one person she loves is with the one person she hates. And honestly, this would send anyone in a crazy rage, but imagine setting off someone who already is crazy in the first place. Tori would go on to set up the whole school fight, which she is to blame for, but we can't act like she wanted Miguel to fall in the first place or even wanted Robbie to get involved. Again, the only person she cared about fighting was Sam. But even then, trying to kill your opponent is pretty nuts, but it's not out of character for her. Plus, I feel like having Tori perceived as this crazy person is what the show wanted. Because literally the next 2 seasons going to characterize her and begin to show her side of the story. We initially got glimpses of this in season 3 when Tori was just struggling with everything on a day-to-day basis. And there is even a brief hint at this in season 2. But in season 3 we see that she loses everything that was keeping her in check. And the only thing that she really has left is Cobra Kai and Kreese's lessons. And despite using everything she thought she needed and finally just might catch a break, Sam snaps out of her daze and then beats up Tori again. And then season 4 decides to amp Tori's characterization to a 10 by literally having a Johnny Daniel situation happening. We see Tori as the villain, but then in season 4, we mainly see things from her perspective, which is why Sam comes off way more aggressive in this season, plus Sam herself is also learning Cobra Kai and learning just now how to defend herself. But just as Sam is starting to fight back, Tori is trying to make a change, and honestly this change of heart for Tori and Sam just happens at the wrong place and time. Though I do love how her and Amanda have a relationship and it actually allows Tori to better herself. Plus seeing Amanda having something to do in Cobra Kai is always nice. I also like her arc tying to Robbie's and their relationship happening, which just enhances the fact that Tori is finally catching the break she needed. And unlike in her previous relationship, this toxic setup for a relationship actually applies both ways now. It's not just Miguel is conflicting while Tori is the dominant aggressor. This relationship consists of 2 individuals who are on demon time. And we see them finally catching a break with them not only embarrassing Miguel and Sam at prom, but Cobra Kai then going on to actually win the tournament, and specifically Tori catching her break. Though it's just unfortunate the one break she catches and the one time she finally catches a W, it's through cheating. Obviously she never meant to, plus the first thing Tori did after beating Sam was make sure that Sam herself was okay. And mind you, less than 2 seasons ago this was the same character. As for stuff in the future for Tori, I do see her maybe staying at Cobra Kai since she did catch the win, but it's just as likely for her to finally leave and settle her conflict with Sam once and for all, as it is for her leaving Cobra Kai. Because now Tori and Sam are sort of just in an odd place right now. Sam might spiral down to the dark side, while Tori goes on a path of redemption. Which in my opinion would be a sick parallel, but you guys let me know down below what you think, and if you want me to elaborate more on this theory, let me know down below and I can make this an entirely separate video. And in my opinion, Tory Nichols is the best female character in all of Cobra Kai and definitely is top 10 in the series. Why are people downplaying the baddies?